Well, there's a multitude of ways to make feather sticks with knives and also with hatchets and axes. And this is just a half axe here made by Gransfors. Of course, everybody knows knows that name. And this is just a piece of hard maple here. And you know, there's a lot of different methods, like I had said, and I do have one, I believe, titled Est-Wing Hatchet and Feather Sticks, and in that particular video, I braced the piece and had two hands. It does help to have two hands when you're dealing with using an axe or a large knife, because you're just with a axe head, you'll have wobble more or less this way. And of course, with a large knife, you'll have wobble a little bit more from side to side. Or if you have a really wide-bladed large knife, you'll still have that wobble from, you know, blade to spine. So having two hands on it is always a good method. And as we've talked about before, you know, the need for a ton of feather sticking is usually not there. It's a good skill to practice. And of course, if you can feather wood really nice, you can, you know, plane wood, and that means you can do some nice crafts and different things. This method here is very similar to the method that I used for with the large knife, which was using a tree. This here's a little red oak tree here, using this tree to brace the tool that we're using. Now, another thing I want to touch on too is a lot of people think that a very sharp tool that can shave hair is going to be garbage when it comes in contact with hard wood. That is not the case if you have proper edge geometry. Now, if you have an extremely thin edge geometry that can shave hair, and then you take it to chopping hardwood, yeah, you may have some issues. If you have very thick edge geometry and you have it shaving sharp, you're going to lose that perceivable sharpness more readily. Now, I don't know if anyone can see, but this knife here is obvious, or axe, I'm sorry, is obviously plenty sharp, razor sharp. So that's not an issue, and nor would it be if your axe isn't that sharp, because to plane wood in general, you don't really require, you know, something extremely sharp. So let's see here. Let's try it this way. So like I said, we're going to brace the axe. Okay. Now I'm pushing into the axe and I'm pulling with the wood. Now these are real long draws here, which you normally may have issue with going freehand with the axe. Now I'm not using a lot of power, and that's real important, because when you start using a lot of power to make real fine cuts, you may find you may cut right through whatever it is you're trying to plane, and of course that's counterproductive. So as I've explained the virtues of standing up when performing some of these tasks, I've explained it in numerous videos where I used a Bowie knife to make feather sticks using a tree, and when I did the Est-Wing hatchet. I don't like to brace things up to my knee and carve towards my knee. Even though the method is safe, it's still more risky than carving away from you. It'll never change. It'll always be more risky. You're moving steel towards you. You can have the safest you know, systems in place, but you know, this method here is real safe, because I'm drawing the piece. I'm not even moving the steel at all. The steel is staying steady, and that is one thing people, when they talk about batoning wood, you can baton an axe too. A lot of people on forums talk about, oh, I'd rather have a knife than an axe because I can baton wood. Well, you can still baton an axe. I mean, let's face it. You put it on the piece and you hit it with the baton to split whatever it is you're going to split. So being able to stand is very advantageous. You know, there's a lot of deep snow, you know, where I'm at. There's a lot of wet ground. There's a lot of swampy areas and these different things. You might not want to be getting down on the ground to do these tasks. Furthermore, putting anything up against my knee like a knife, the spine of a knife, that really hurts the knee, if you ask me. It's not really that comfortable. This is actually quite comfortable. I'm just pushing onto the tree. That's all that's happening here, okay? Just pushing onto this tree like this and holding it there. The only pressure that I have to contend with is the draw of this pulling back into this arm, which, as you know, isn't really that much. And as I said, you don't really need a wicked sharp tool to feather wood. It helps, don't get me wrong, but you don't need an axe that is as sharp as this one. As you can see, immense control, no fatigue or anything like that. Of course, using a smaller tree does help a little more because you can get the tree actually in underneath the head here. You know, behind the beard of the axe, if you will. So we'll just keep going a little bit more with this. This feather stick as is would be all you would need to really get this piece going. So, as I said, there's always a multitude of ways to do certain tasks. And you have to pick what you find really works for you. Getting good at all of them is really the goal. You don't want to pigeonhole yourself to, I can only use this tool, I can only use this size knife, I can only use this size hatchet, I can only use this size saw, I can only feather wood this way, I can only split wood that way. Get good at them all. As I said, the safest ways are always the best. Cutting away from you, or in this instance here, we're talking about drawing the wood towards you. The steel is never in motion. I have a video titled, I don't know, it might be Cruiser Axe Part 1 or 2 or that type of thing. And I show how, we can plane the wood with the Cruiser Axe simply by putting the other bit, the opposite bit that you're sharpening, into a downed log or a buck saw or even just another piece of wood, and you move the feather stick. You move the stick, not the steel, which is usually always safer. And I hear a lot of people talk about that, and that's why they like the advantages of a large knife over a hatchet. But as we said, you can do all of that with the hatchet. Okay, you can draw the material towards you rather than try to contend with, working with the steel. Hope you enjoyed. Hope this can help you out. If you like to use one tool to go from the tinder all the way to your night's firewood, an axe like this will do it. You can get the smallest shavings you want, all the way up to the biggest chunks you want, and the use of wedges and whatnot can help you do pretty much anything. Good rule of thumb I always like to think about is an axe can build a house and all the furniture in it. Hope you enjoyed. Take care.